It's finally here, Chiefs Kingdom. It is the Monday Night Q&A on an actual game week. It's about time. We have a ton to go over. A little bit of news from this weekend as we're tooling up for a little bit of practice. Early game this week. Chiefs start the season off on Thursday night. Dan and I are going to cover it for you. He's Dan Harms. I'm Ryan Tracy. Nice to see you. It is Sunday night. It's not Sunday night. It's Monday night. It means that it's your Q&A. We're going to get to all of your questions. If you want to get answered on the show, hit a super chat, hit a question mark before your question. We will try to dig those out of the chat. Every super chat gets an answer. We very much appreciate the support, and it does help us stay organized. So if you would check that out, I personally would definitely appreciate it. We are brought to you tonight, as always, by our pals over at DraftKings. I know it's been a while. Can you believe it's been 7 months since a ball game? Right now, it's crazy, but good things that are over now. NFL is back. The DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NFL, is giving you a chance for this week one that you don't want to miss. It's new customers. You can get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you just bet $5 on any NFL game. You might want to look at the Chiefs game. I'm just saying, DraftKings is hooking up everyone, and that means everyone on this game day greatness. All customers can take advantage of 2 new offers every single game day this September. Check the app to see what you can get. So download the app. It's super simple. And then if you're a new user, you can get in on the $200 bonus bets. And if not you, every user just like me can get in on the single game deals right now. Download it at any app store. Use the code RGR to sign up. It's new customers get that $200 bonus bets instantly when they bet $5. And the code is only for DraftKings Sportsbook, the official sportsbook betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. You just got to go get it. If you have a gambling problem, check out 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 1-877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY. That's 476-369. And Connecticut helping is available for problem gambling at 888-789-777 or visit cccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of the Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 age groups, they do vary by jurisdiction. It's void in Ontario, and you can check out dkng.co/football for eligibility terms, responsible gaming resources, and everything else you might need. Bonus bets expire 7 days from issuance, so get in on the action. Eligibility and deposit restrictions do apply. We appreciate DraftKings coming back for a second season with us, and they help us move along and get all of your questions answered. We're going to do our best to make sure that we hit them all tonight. But I want to start at the top. And this is the concept. I've been getting questions all weekend, and I'm going to put it to you, Dan. If Chris's absence is, we know they're talking and all that. If he's out, say, I put the line at 6 weeks or more, does that negate any chance the Chiefs have from winning a championship for you?
No, it doesn't. And we kind of understand that Chris Jones, I know it's over, sweetie, is a fantastic player, and he's going to be able to help them when they get back. But it doesn't matter what seed they are. It doesn't. It doesn't matter if they're on the road. It doesn't matter if they're at home, even though they've shown that they prefer to be at home to go through the playoffs and host AFC Championship games. I don't think that matters. I think that you get in, this team gets hot down the stretch. Doesn't matter their seed, they get in the playoffs, and they're going to be a threat to any team that enters and can still win a championship, in my opinion, from any seed that they're at, 7-6. It doesn't matter. So he's going to be out for however many games, and that's kind of what they're going to have to deal with. But regardless, I still think they're going to have a winning record in those games because they have Patrick Mahomes. Their offense is going to be 1-2 in the NFL, and they've got young pieces on the defensive side that you hope they can find the right solution to this specific math problem. Don't have to be a great defense. All you have to do is find ways to get the ball back to Patrick Mahomes. You can do that, you're going to be able to win these football games.
I absolutely agree with you because it makes it harder, of course. Chris Jones is Chris Jones, but it is not impossible because of the presence of Patrick Mahomes. That's just the bottom line of it. At the end of the day, he can overcome by raising the level of play of everyone else. What we found out over the weekend is Kadarius Toney is back and practicing. That changes things. That allows Patrick to have that much more to elevate the rest of the squad, particularly in putting points up on the offensive side that forces teams to try to come back. Evening Doctor, hope that you're in, or Doctor, sorry, I always do that. Welcome everybody into Chiefs Kingdom. This is Rogue Nation. Make sure you like, sub, and hit our bell right now here at the 5-minute mark. We have a couple of questions and super chats already. I am stacking them up, and Mike is going to be first here in a minute. But this is what it comes down to: the odds change for a championship without Chris Jones for that number. Honestly, the odds change every week that he isn't there. With L'Jarius and Tony back, I think that balances some of that out. Now, Amenahu's going to come back in a few weeks as well, and I think that balances things out. So the obstacle for me is getting through 6 weeks without Charles Amenahu, who you are paying to be the number 2 pass rusher on this roster. If you can get through that with 5 wins, you're on your way. If you can get through it with 4 wins, you still have a very good chance. If you come out at 500 in the first 6 games, it's difficult, but that's kind of the threshold. If you start at 6-game mark under 500, they're in trouble. That's kind of where my lines are.
I can understand that. I can see that being a problem for them, and it's never easy because one, they've never had to deal with that before. They've never been that far into a season where they're under 500 or at 500. Like they've been close a few years ago where they still managed to rattle off wins down the stretch and make it to the AFC Championship game and eventually lose to the Bengals that way. But I think what we've seen from this team is resiliency. Last year, everyone was like, well, this is a retool year for them. And, they went off and won the Super Bowl. I think that experience in that situation they can weather a storm where they're not with their 2 best pass rushers. I expect both Amenahu and Chris Jones to be on the field in week 7. I expect that. I don't believe it's going to last that long. But again, I was confident, 5 days ago, that they would get a contract done before the season. So here we are, still talking about this situation. So that tells you how fast things can change in the NFL. It also tells you that sometimes they can change just as fast the opposite direction. If the Chiefs go out on Thursday night and they hold the Detroit Lions under 20 points or at 20, 25 points, guess what? Chris Jones's leverage is gone. Boy, he believes – and unfortunately, a lot of his leverage is tied to the Chiefs defense being awful on Thursday night, being awful, allowing 30-plus points, not getting any pressure. And if they do that, he has some of that leverage. If they don't, if they go the opposite, they get pressure on Jared Goff. They force some, incompletions, some interceptions. They get some sacks. Guess what? This thing flips on its head, and he doesn't have any leverage anymore. And that's going to be him to figure out. But at the end of the day, like Andy Reid and everyone's been saying all week, you got to go to war with the guys you got. And that's what this comes down to.
I completely agree with you.
I'm just going to go put my daughter down for a second. I'll be right back. Give me 5 minutes, guys.
Folks, we are not only working football analysts, we're working dads. So, yeah, sometimes that happens. Now, coming up later in the show, we're going to go over and we'll introduce some of the stats that we want to look at, some of the matchups that we want to look at. This week, you're going to get content from Seth tomorrow. We're changing the schedule a little bit. We're going to have some film on Wednesday. You'll hear from not only Gary, but us as well on Thursday. And then live after the ball game, we are going to have the post-game stream here, the Sunday night breakdown, as we call it, even though it'll be a Thursday. So make sure that you like, sub, and hit the bell, and you're with us for all of those. Now, that said, I want to get to some of your questions before we get into the stats and who to watch and what the matchups are going to be. As we get through the week. Micah was first in. Nice to see you, Micah. Hope you're well. What are the true numbers of Jones's offer from KC and what he wants? I've been seeing and reading different numbers in the media and social media. I think there's been a pullback. I think Florio, NBC Sports, and a couple of other outlets have really started to muddy the water. The numbers that I have heard has been consistent, is that the Chiefs were at 25 point something in the 25 to 26 range per year, and that Chris has been over at the 32. That when the when Q's contract came in, him and his agents tried to jump that up to Aaron Donald money. And in the meantime, the conversation about number of years seems to have shrunk. Originally, Chris wanting 4, as we understand, or his reps wanting 4 and the Chiefs wanting 3. Now it seems, according to rumor, that they're coming down to a 3-year agreement. That's the number, but it's about how many years. So what I understand at this time, Monday night on a long weekend, I've had no updates since Saturday, and it does still seem that it is 3.5 or $4 million per year apart. that's the last update I got. I don't have anyone in the negotiations, but I do have some folks who are closer to it that have updated me. So hopefully that's come down and come closer. Those are the numbers as I understand them. The thing that I think it was NBC that reported that Chris was only asking for 27. If it was 27, it would be done by now. So I don't think that that's actually accurate. But everything that I've heard is that it is ongoing and they are making some progress. Daryl Miller, want to shout you out. Thank you, buddy. The worries about it, there's always a little bit of worry because they have to manufacture some pass rush. We're going to talk about some of those ways, not just tonight, but later in the week as well. And it is going to be about the blitz. We saw more linebacker blitzing in the preseason. I don't think that was a mistake. I don't think that was a coincidence. We're going to see more of that. And you've been around here long enough, 27 months a member. Thank you very much. Folks, Daryl's one of our longtime members. You can become one as well on the join button underneath me. You get the extra content. I will have a members video for you this week, preparing us for what we need to see and what we need to not see. That's going to be more important, as well as all the Discord and the additional information. You're going to get my game notes now. That I think will clarify some things, or at least set them up for the Monday Q&A, because you'll already have been able to see those. I'll try to get those out the day after the game every week. Knock on wood. We'll see how that schedule goes. But members get all that, as well as in the Discord if you join at the rookie level or above. So check that out. Daryl, very much appreciate you. Well, Kev, I jumped Mike again. Sorry. Mike, with the second question, can players get punished for acting or collecting on the bounty on Eli Apple that his ex-girlfriend put out if they injure him severely? Chiefs fans and players still hate this dude. They certainly do. But if any player were to act upon that in a way that looks suspicious on film, the NFL definitely has its own arm of investigation, and they would come down on them grossly. I think that dude's just got a lot of drama in his life, and I would not be paying too much attention to it if I were another player in this league. That's just going to drag you into the drama. Micah, Snead and Tony expectations. Also, will Reed let Jones go if contract is reached? I don't think Chris Jones can play in this first game no matter what. I don't care how good a shape he says he's in. He hasn't had contact yet. I don't think there's any way that he plays, even if they sign tonight. And it is Monday night as we're here live. If you're watching on replay, we do this every single Monday night at 7 p.m. Central. So no, I don't think that's in the cards. But as far as Snead and Tony, I'm comfortable with Snead because Snead's lack of practice. He's not been holding out. I shouldn't have used that word. His lack of practice time has been precautionary per the team. They made that decision. It was not that he was unwilling or anything like that. It has nothing to do with contract. It was the knee inflammation that they were trying to keep ready for this time and allow the extra healing. So particularly if they can play a game where he can get in 25, 30 snaps, they will more likely limit him to around there and just cycle it out as to not put too much stress on the knee. But I'm really confident he can come in and play at a high level. Steve Spagnuolo said that today as well, in that when he's out there, he is playing well. And that's what we expect. As for Tony, I understand that he's moving as though it were the offseason prior to the injury. And my expectation is he's probably on the pitch count. But if you can get him in for 3 series, and I don't know if that's 12 plays or 25, but if you can get him in 3 series and get him warmed up, I think running routes from the outside in particular is something that he can do and kind of stay out of contact unless he's the target. And I think that's acceptable. So we'll see how that comes down. Everything changes if they fall behind and all that. I don't want to take the Lions too lightly. And Dan's done a ton of work on the Lions this offseason. And I think you would agree, Dan, we cannot take them too lightly.
No, you can't do that. Dan Campbell is going to have this team prepared. I think if there's one thing they're good at, it's being the underdog right now. And Dan Campbell has instilled that mentality. They have players built for this. Like, they're built to withstand this. They're built to try to take down, previous obstacles that Detroit Lions teams couldn't do. Like, they would not have won in Green Bay in the final game of the season before last year, in my opinion. It would not have happened. So it's a different mentality in Detroit than I think we've ever seen, even before. So they're definitely a team to not just roll in. They're going to get the W and walk out. It's going to be a fight.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Words on fire. Do you think CJ would have signed already if Veach brought Frank Clark back like he requested? No. This is about money. This is about getting paid and getting yourself set up to maybe try to eke out one more big contract, or if not, set yourself up for your life after football. I think that's a negotiating chip. I think that's something you say in public. I don't think that has anything to do with the deal.
I agree.
Do you, Dan? Okay.
It's got nothing to do with it.
Jeremy, do you think any of the wide receivers will hit 1,000 yards at this point? And I think I know where you're going, but let's hear it.
I mean, I still believe that MVS could, but right now I've started to come down to there isn't going to be one, but there's going to be a ton with like 400 plus. I'm starting to believe that they're going to be using a lot. And I was talking on Sports Radio 810 this afternoon with Sterling Holmes about the idea that just activate all 7 receivers. If you have 7 receivers and 3 tight ends, I know, and 3 running backs, I know it's hard to do that because you have to go light somewhere else. I know it's difficult, but imagine the different types of sets and different types of packages you can just throw out there, and a defense has to be ready for that. Like that's like a college team in the same sense, where you can just throw waves and waves and waves of offensive talent at them, and they have to pretty much be ready for anything. And they've talked about how Rashee Rice and Justin Ross have packages for themselves, for those players. But if Kadarius Toney's playing, you have 7 receivers. Typically, you don't carry 7, so that means one of them packages is coming off the table unless all 7 receivers are active. So I'm becoming more, or actually less confident that someone gets 1,000, and more confident that you're going to see a ton of guys with 400 plus, just with how many ways they can be used.
Well, on the positive note today, too, Dave Tobe did mention that not only is Richie James the primary returner for both punts and kicks, but that Justin Ross will be playing special teams. So for a guy that I think, according to the official depth chart, as well as our depth chart, Justin Ross is receiver 7. And yet he's saying he will play special teams. So I think that goes exactly where you're going, that they're going to have all 7 up.
See, I'm reading it as that he's available to play special teams if he's active. But the fact that both gunner positions are cornerbacks tells me that there might be preparing to have Justin not active in the first game. I would like to see it. I want them to have 7 receivers. I cannot exclaim to you guys enough how much I want them to just throw waves of wide receivers and receivers out there. I don't really care. I want to see different waves and different renditions and just constantly go at defenses with the ways they can attack them. I want that very badly.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Like, use your strengths to their utmost strength. And that means using all of your guys. I'm certainly with you. Let's take a quick look at the injury report from today. If you guys cannot see that, let me blow it up for you. So this is the way that it came down. Richie did come back limited, along with L'Jarius and Kadarius and Turk Wharton. It is Richie James with a knee, and that's something we hadn't seen. Everybody's got a knee here. Everybody was limited, but optimism is that everybody should be able to go, including Turk Wharton. And that's going to be really important to Steve's question we're going to answer here in a second. Nick Allegretti, full practice with the strained pec. That's a really great sign. I feel awesome about that.
when you go light at the interior, and you maybe assume one of your tackles can play interior, which is my thought process, this is a great sign for you because you have 5 tackles on the roster and 2 backup interior offensive linemen. You needed Allegretti to be ready to go.
Yeah, that's for sure. Here's the nice thing. Full practice from Nick Jones.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's casted or not. I have not been able to confirm that. Also, full go from BJ Thompson with a strained hamstring. So you are, except for the guys that you kind of knew about already, you are at full strength, except for Richie James, but everyone seems to feel like he's going to be in good shape. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. Let's go to Dez, and then we're going to go to Steve. Dez, thank you for the support, buddy. Appreciate the super chat.
Appreciate it,
folks.
Man.
If you want your question answered, you can definitely hit us as a super chat, and every super chat gets an answer. It seems more and more like CJ gets traded. If they can trade him to Arizona, who has 2 picks for that top 10 plus some picks, does the move make sense for him? given that he's reported a $10 million difference. It's 10 over 3 is the report from the outlets. So it's really, 3.3 per year. Would Arizona be wanting to do that? In the condition that Arizona's in, I don't think so. I think they need both those first round picks because they want to go up to number 1 and get Caleb. There's no conversation around this unless Drake May really, really outplays him. They are using all the draft capital they have to get their quarterback of the future. And Caleb Williams, there's no reason to doubt him. Even if you prefer Drake May, there's no reason to doubt him. And as I understand, the scouting department in Arizona does prefer Caleb Williams at this time. Now, obviously, there's a season to play, but still, I don't think they'd give it up. Do you, Dan?
No. And no team is going to be attempting to trade a top 10 pick for a 30-year-old player. It's not happening. I'm not trying to throw a wet blanket on the situation. That's just kind of how this situation works. Not only would you have to trade for him with a first round draft pick, then you have to extend him. You have to pay him $30 million a season at 30 years old almost. Yeah. Teams aren't going to do that. The Chiefs, if they do end up trading Chris Jones, will get a back half, possibly first round draft pick if you're lucky. Because again, the team taking on Chris Jones has to extend him. So there's a lot that goes into this. Unless the Chiefs, again, it won't really matter that much. They won't really eat much of his contract at that point. So none of that matters. So you're not going to be able to get the return on Chris Jones that you want to. So trading him might not even be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly could be, especially for that franchise. Are there others that might have some kind of serious injury that might come calling? It's a possibility. And whereas, 3 months ago, or not even, the beginning of training camp, I was adamant there's no way they trade him. That's out the window now. Everything is on the table again because of the way that this has gone down. So I can't rule it out. Des, thanks for the support, pal, and thank you for your question.
Appreciate you, Des.
Now, Steve was asking this one about the running backs. And Detroit does look like they can move the ball on the ground. Big fan of Gibbs. I liked him coming out. I think he's going to be great in the pros. I do think that he has that next gear of development in front of him, not just speed. But I want to show something, Dan. While you explain what you think of the rushing attack for Detroit, because you've had a good look at it.
Yeah. So the Detroit Lions run just about every play in the run offense. Like that, they run everything. Like I believe they were the only team last year that had 20% in every gap scheme possible, in every zone scheme. Like they ran a varied multiple amount. What that does is it puts a lot of stress on the offensive line. They weren't the most efficient run game last year, but all of it has to do with the fact that DeAndre Swift's vision is terrible. He's not a very good running back in terms of reading an offensive line. He's a great weapon to have in the open field. And then Jamal Williams, who, I see a couple yards, I'll get you 3. I'll run some guys over, I'll score a lot of touchdowns. He's not an effective runner into space unless there's a ton there built by the Lions offense. So this year they have an upgrade with David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. That's a very good 1-2 punch behind an offensive line that has the chemistry, everything down from last year. I think they're going to build on that. And the one thing that you have to remember is the Chiefs don't have the best success in defending the run without Chris Jones playing at the elite level he did last year. It's going to come down to linebackers being free. You got to find ways as the defensive line to hold up, to not get displaced into the second level, to not allow free guys going to your linebackers, specifically to Nick Bolton, who's going to be hugely impactful against the run. If he's getting blocked up by Penny Sewell at the second level, it's going to be a long day for the Chiefs, Chiefs defense against the run. So it just really comes down to the defensive line maybe playing the best they've ever played. I really mean that because this offensive line, well, like I said, they weren't as efficient last year. Ben Johnson's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. I can guarantee you that.
Well, and I'll tell you where I think it's going to be even that more important because I agree with you. It's going to be the middle of the defensive line. Yeah. And that's why a lot of folks are discounting Keandre Coburn this week. He's going to play a big role because until the Chiefs are up enough to force Detroit to pass, you have to plug that middle, both A gaps. Yeah. And that's why I see Derek Notting and Keandre Coburn as the best options here. given who they have on the roster right now. Obviously, Turk came back, and let's see, where are they right now? I just want to show you guys this. There's Chris, there's Derek, Danny, Keandre, and Matt Dickerson. Now, is Danny going to play enough? Danny got moved to the practice squad, I believe. Is that not what we did?
Yes, he did.
Neil Farrell got out on the practice field today. Is he ready to go? I don't know. Is Turk ready to go? We don't know. So it's Derek Nadi and Condre Coburn. If you're going to stop the run, it's going to be the two big bodies. And so we're going to see the rookie, I think, earlier than most think. And I, for one, have faith in that. I feel good about his ability to man that gap and force out to the tackles. And their tackles are good. But if you take a look at who else has been blocking well in this preseason for the Detroit Lions, this is a bit sad. Yeah. A tight end, H-back, is their best blocker. Obviously, Penei Sewell has not played much. I don't even think he's on here because I filtered it by, you have to have a couple, 20% of the snaps or whatever. So what you see here is, as you go down, the fullbacks, one of their better blockers so far. The guards, there's not a guard to be seen in their top 12 blockers. That's where you're going to make your money.
Yeah.
So let the tackles take on the center, run some slants, fill in with one of the linebackers, in particular Nick Bolton. I like that concept. If you can run enough games to fill in those gaps and attack those guards, you can cut down the angles and hopefully the gaps that the run game can fit through. You still got to protect around the edges because those tackles are going to play pretty solidly, I think. So for me, it's attack the middle, play team football on the outside of the hashes.
Absolutely. I just want to address something really quick. Jason said Julian. I hope I pronounced that last name properly. I apologize if I didn't. We do have both of your super chats for the same question. I don't want you to think we didn't get it. Thank you very much for the support, but we do have both. We'll get to them. I don't want you just continuing to go and doing that with the same question. Just wanted to point that out.
I appreciate that, Jason. That. We're just slow.
We'll get to it. I promise.
Hit us with another question for your second one for sure.
Please do.
Let's get you the information you want. We appreciate you. So that's our thought there, Steve. I do think that it's possible, and I do think there's some matchups to take advantage of there. Kev wanted to know, why don't the QBs call their own plays? Is it a matter of ability, or is it just too much on their plates? Well, it depends on the quarterback. Some quarterbacks do call their own plays. Patrick's one of them. Aaron Rodgers is another. There are some that are not ready to do that. Mac Jones is not ready to call his own plays. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I don't know that he ever will be. If you want to ask me about the craziest quarterback situation in this league, it is New England, because it makes no sense. They went out and actually got Matt Corral off of waivers. So he's
going to be their backup quarterback. He's going to be their backup quarterback. I guarantee it. Like I raised you one quarterback situation, though. The Titans, who drafted a quarterback last year, Malik Willis. They basically had him be their third backup, their third string guy, who then outplayed the guy they drafted in the second round this year that they traded up for. And guess what? It gets better. They're probably going to have to draft a quarterback next year. So their quarterback situation is probably a little bit worse.
Because outplayed is a relative term, and none of it was good. So I don't know that we're getting there. Michael, is Richie returning both kickoffs and punts? Yes, that is what Dave Tobe announced today. Chiefs comments, if the Chiefs and Jones can't agree, would it be a good idea to explore trade for a guy like Buckner, who you could probably afford and still do a solid interior defensive line? The problem is I don't know why Chris Ballard would give that up. Yes, it's an upgrade, but the net benefit only helps if you have Buckner next to him. You know what I mean? So for Chris Ballard, he's looking to improve his defensive front as well. I don't think he'd be giving a player back.
I'm with you there. Like I said, the net trade-off. What are you getting that much more that you're going to pay that much more for a guy who's I think they're pretty close in age at this point, but regardless, like, you're going to give that up and then draft capital to go up like however much that is, and then pay him however much he wants. I don't know. It seems like a steep hill to climb.
Yeah, I'm not ready. Do not count me in. I am not ready. Oh man. Let's see. What's your thoughts on 7 games without Chris? We kind of teased this at the top, but where are you at?
Yeah, let me pull up the schedule really quickly.
I am going to do that as well.
I don't have it memorized, guys. I apologize. I'm slacking. I am not in midseason form when it comes to the schedule.
I have it here.
All right. Well, I got it right here too. So you got the Lions. I think they're going to win. I'm going to tell you that right now, but we'll see what I believe the score will be. You have the Jaguars, the Bears, the Jets, the Vikings, the Broncos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the Chargers. All right. I think they're going to be 5-2. If they miss 7 games without Chris Jones, I think 5-2. What do you think?
I can live with that. That's a success without Chris Jones, in my opinion, because you're also without Amenahue. So if you get 5-2 out of that, I'm happy with that. I assume you're thinking the tripping points are Jacksonville and Los Angeles, or are you scared of New York?
Oh, I'm not scared of New York. I'm not scared of Aaron Rodgers. I actually don't think they're going to lose to the Jags. I don't.
Nope.
I just think one of the games in there somewhere they just trip up like they did with the Colts. Like whether it's the Vikings or it's the Bears, that's something that I think that one of these it could be the Jags too. I don't know. I don't think they're going to, but I think that they're going to lose one they probably shouldn't.
I'm with you. Good question here, Scott. What do you think the DT rotation is going to look like? And let's go back and look at this. There ain't much rotation right now. I hope that they try to start Turk just to see what he can do. I do have a feeling that because we know that the run game for Detroit is going to be pretty prevalent, they might come out and try to run some play action and get in the air quickly, in which case that might play into having Turk out there. But for me, it all depends on, is Farrell in shape, or is it Coburn, or are you putting Dana immediately to the inside, or maybe even Malik Herring, an edge that has to go inside?
My assumption is that one of those guys is going to play a lot of 3-tech. And it's got to be Herring, right? On pass rush situations, it'll be Mike Dana, but you cannot have Mike Dana out there on first down. Just go back to the Bengals regular season game. They ran all over the Chiefs because Mike Dana was in there a lot. He was in there a lot, and they just say, "Nope, here you go, hand off." The Lions do the same thing, and it won't work. So I think it has to be Herring if Farrell is not ready to play. But I think people need to understand that Farrell was a backup last year. He played 5 games. He played 5 games. Yeah. This is not a guy that's snaps. This is not a guy that's going to come in and give you a ton of snaps right away. He might not even play. He might be inactive for this game. Yeah. This is not someone to count on. I believe that it's got to be Herring and Coburn. And hopefully Wharton is ready to go, but he barely practiced up until now. It's not looking good.
No. And that's got me a little bit nervous because then you're talking, Danny is on the practice squad. So we could see, like you said, an inactive Farrell and an elevation for Shelton.
That's very true.
It would make sense against this particular roster. So I'm really interested to see. We should know that obviously by Thursday afternoon, hopefully ahead of time. I'll try to give you guys a little pregame moniker of what we're looking at as we get closer. But it will be some edges going inside. And again, I'm really keen to see Coburn in this situation when it's not just, hey, kid, we want to see what you got. It's, hey, big body, we need you. Go do something.
It's time to go.
Yeah, I like the pressure cooker for him. I think he will respond. Kevin, will the offense incorporate a slow, methodical march strategy to keep our defense off the field as much as possible? Can you see that, Dan?
They don't run a lot of hurry up offense, so they're typically a huddle team anyway. I think they're going to run the ball more than people expect them to, in part because, to Kevin's point, you kind of want to help your defense a little bit, especially if you're going to be short-staffed at defensive tackle. And this is a team that runs the ball. I don't. There's a question later that I'll get into the details of that stuff, but I do think they're going to run the ball more than expected. And one of the Lions' starting run stoppers from last year, the guy who played the most snaps on the defensive line as a run stopper, is already a healthy scratch to play this game, according to the Lions. What are they doing? That's a weird strategy to tell everyone, our run stopper from last year, he's not going to play. Okay, so guess what? Andy Reid, you got 3 days here. Run the ball.
Great.
Run the ball.
and you were talking about Alan McNeil, right?
No, Bugs.
Bugs returned today.
Bugs. I have a clip of him saying he is inactive for the first week. I have a clip.
That's funny. Okay. They practiced him today is what the report said. So yes, I'm really interested to see.
They did practice him today, but they're announcing that he's not going to play on Thursday.
That's weird because that's what he does
weird.
best.
I know.
Oh, the
I'm
games,
just saying.
chewing ankles and kneecaps and games. I guess that's all we're talking about.
If it's a real game, I mean, why would you tell him that and then him tell the media
Yeah.
that? Like, he literally
Yeah.
told the media that he's not going to play. That's thinking outside inside the box. Like, there's no reason to do this.
They might be on the incline, the Detroit Lions, but they're still the Detroit Lions. So let's be
There's some
real.
There's some things there.
Info. Why does it seem teams can only negotiate with one player at a time, including the CJ? I don't think that's always the case, but in a case like this, where it is a giant contract and is one of your top 3 contracts in terms of salary and cap situation, it kind of is that you get some little things done so you can try to work on that, because it's generally a longer negotiation process. But when they get held up like this, Willie Gay and Snead are twisting in the wind right now because of Chris Jones. We would have a better idea if they were making overtures towards them if Chris had been done by camp.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's the size, I think, more info than anything else.
Agreed.
Whiskey, fantasy football questions. This is all Dan. Prediction for Mahomes and Pacheco stat lines for Thursday Night Football. Any KC wide receiver worth starting in fantasy for PPR? What do you got?
All right. So I think Mahomes is going to have a good day, probably 325 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. I think that's probably what you're looking at for him in the fantasy realm. Obviously, you're starting him anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I think Pacheco is going to have at least 16 rushes in this game. I do believe they're going to run the ball more. Earlier on 8-10 today, I said Clyde's going to have 8 carries and Pacheco's going to have 16. I think they're going to run the ball 20 plus times because, again,
I'm ready.
You need to do that a little bit. I also think they're going to run a ton of plays. This could be a hugely high scoring game. I just am betting on the plays going over in terms of what you normally see. So passing goes up, rushing goes up. I think that just naturally happens. So I think Pacheco's going to go 16 for like 87 and a touchdown. I think that's easily within his range of outcomes. And Sky Moore should just eat this defense up. Literally should be just 9-yard button hook completion, 10-yard slant completion. He should be everywhere. He should be catching a ton of balls, and is one of the guys that I would be looking to start in PPR for sure.
Because I think they're going to be able to move him around and get him. Is Gardner Johnson even viable? I haven't seen an injury report on him. Okay.
Yeah,
I think he's got a better matchup there. And if they get him on Sutton, I think he's got a great matchup there. Brian Branch doesn't look like he's going to be a starter, and that's okay because I think Sky probably has him in short area quickness to begin with. So I like him as a matchup this week too. Not to hone in on your fantasy territory.
No, you're good. It's good. It's great. But I think they're going to double team Kelsey anyway. So that's going to leave one-on-one coverage to everyone. And Sky Moore is a great option in one-on-one coverage. He's fantastic.
Yeah. It's almost a 1-for-1 replacement in that area of the field. So Whiskey, thank you for your question and your super chat. We love the support. Thank you, bud. Thank you, Mike. Very much appreciate you. Well, after the first weekend, I think we have a tight end too in Bell. Baby Bell? Is that what I'm reading?
Oh, already?
I mean, wow.
That's a take.
Yeah, I mean,
it's spicy. I'll give you that.
Sure. I mean, hey, I'm all for it. I mean, if you're not putting all your eggs in a basket, you might as well throw them in right now. It's week 1. Well done,
like Mike. Bell. I like him.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that he is tight end 2 in the class yet, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right. I like it, Mike. I like it. It's going to make me go watch him now because I didn't catch it before. Well done, sir. John, will the Chiefs defense surprise anyone on Thursday? Not everyone, but anyone.
This could be,
I don't know,
good or bad. Will they surprise a lot of people in a good way?
True.
I think it's possible. There's some things I have confidence in. Joe Cullen's ability and Steve Spagnuolo's ability. Like those two guys together, they just got to find whatever works. You know how you're playing Tetris and sometimes you're going through and you keep failing at the same level. You keep doing that. Right now, this is what the Chiefs are doing. They're going to be going through the same level with a couple different defensive rotations, and they're going to try to fit some things into the right spot until one of it just works, and then they get it to be passable. This isn't trying to win Tetris. This is trying to get to the next level so that you can survive until Chris Jones and Charles Omenihu get back. That's what this is.
There you go. Yeah. Makes sense. Michael, 7-0 versus 5-2 could cost us the AFC Championship game at Arrowhead. That's a distinct possibility. So. You have some tough matchups in the second half of the season, right? So, if it were to come to that, it's still a success, given you don't have Omenihu and and Chris Jones. I mean, 5-2 is a success at that point, in my opinion.
I agree.
So,
any loss at any point can cost anybody seeding, but the AFC is tough for everyone, not just the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Like I think you might have the highest, the number one seed with maybe the worst record that we've seen in a long time with how tough the AFC is.
Yeah, that's a good take. And when you look at the post-bye schedule, I can show that to everyone as well.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about coming back from the bye with the Super Bowl matchup. There's no reason to think that Philadelphia Eagles aren't the cream of the NFC. Plus, you end up getting the Bills and the Bengals and the follow-up with the Chargers. So, yeah, it's a tough gauntlet at the end. But at the end of the day, if you're 5-2 after 7 without Chris and without Charles Menahue, I think you're still probably in the hunt.
I'm with you,
That's
man.
just me. Okay. Nighthawk, thank you, sir. It's going to diminish the Chris's contract negotiating with the team because if they do great without him, it's not a good look. Well, you're absolutely right, Nighthawk. But that's kind of where we're coming from. At the top of the show, if you guys weren't on, that's kind of the concept. It's like, yes, Chris is elite. Yes, he makes it a comfortable margin every week. Can they still win without Chris Jones? With this quarterback and this tight end? Yes. You have to say yes every single week they're in it. And I think that's what it comes back to.
Yeah, it's, again, they can find something to make it passable. They won a ton of games with one of the statistically worst defenses in the NFL history in 2018. They hosted an AFC Championship game. It's possible. I know Chris Jones was even on that team, so it's possible. It's just it's not going to be easy.
John, thank you. One of our member questions. Jones is Jones for sure. Can Spags scheme it up to get through 6 weeks? Yeah, that's the big question. He can scheme it up to get through 3. But when he has to vary, when you see Chamari Connor come on in the first half and he's getting a lot of snaps, Steve's had to go to plan B, plan C, plan D possibly at that point. Because I think they want to use Connor, but I think they want to save him till later in the season. So that means that you're not getting it done at the linebacker level, in my opinion. And so, yes, can he scheme it through 6 weeks? Yes, but it might be a challenge.
I just want to know how much time they're going to play. How much time are they going to play? Like, if they can't get pressure like consistently, how much dime are they going to play?
Yeah, it's going to be everywhere because that's his favorite package to get pressure from. And it hurts me a little bit because I'd rather see double barrels with linebackers come down the A gaps for all I care. But that's me. That's old school. But if you can get past that line and get to the quarterback, freak him out a couple of times, then you can play your really effective games in the back. Bruce, thank you for the super sticker. Appreciate you, buddy. Long-time contributor. We very much appreciate you being here. Des, thank you again, buddy. How much should we expect Felix to play? What's the starting 6 D-line look like? Well, let's have a look at it.
Yep.
Oh, it's not going to be pretty. I'm just going to warn you, Des.
It's not. It's really not.
Because in the end, I think, like I said, I think you try to start Turk. And I need to stop that because I don't need it to load. Turk Noddy, Dan and Karlaftis on the outside. That makes perfect sense. Who filters in? If it's third down, and especially if it's a tight ball game, or God forbid the Chiefs fall behind, I think Felix is coming in pretty regularly on third down. I don't need him on first and second, but I think that could be the package because I think you move Dan inside in that situation. You rush either him and Turk or him and Cobra as your tackles. Maybe you got Malik Herring in there, but I do believe you want Karlaftis and Felix on the field at the same time if you're trying to get to the passer on third down.
He's like, I've said it. I'll keep saying it. He's got the best toolbox of any pass rusher in Kansas City right now, bar none, and by a wide margin, in my opinion. Now, George is coming away. We'll see how impactful he can be with, training with Tamba Hali this offseason, but his pass rush package was still limited from everything that we've seen. The power is clearly there. The quickness, not so much. Felix has power and speed to power. He was showing in the preseason. He was showing it. Okay. So I think he might end up playing a lot more than people expect. He might even rotate in on second downs, just especially if the game is going to be throwing the ball a lot. he's going to, I think he's going to see a lot of work.
Yeah. I think it really depends on the tempo that they take with the Lions rush game. It makes a lot of sense.
Agreed.
Thank you, Des. You the man, buddy. Chiefs KT, can the Chiefs sue for breach of contract? No, it's built into the CBA, the penalties for all the holdouts and all that stuff. There is no suit available to them. Nightbot, if you guys want some of this gear, either the Chiefs Kingdom that Dan's wearing or the MVP logo that I'm wearing or any of the RGR gear, you can get it in the store. You can check that link or you can hit the link in the description for sure. We appreciate all the support there. That's been ticking up lately, and I know you guys want some new gear. I got a couple ideas. We're going to get that after this first season game gets underway.
Yeah.
Thomas, what is Spags going to do without him? Corner blitz, LB blitz, or throw everything at the offense? What's your gut feeling, Dan?
Rotating safeties a lot. They're going to rotate a lot of safeties. They're going to blitz off the edge. They're going to send, if Snead plays, they're going to send Snead. They're going to play they're going to send Connor. They're going to send McDuffie, and they're not going to know where it's coming from. That's what this comes down to. It's going to be making Jared Goff have to guess right. Okay, if you can make him have to guess pretty much every down that maybe this guy's coming, maybe this guy's coming. Guess what? This is what's happening. You're winning. His clock is slowing down, or sorry, it's speeding up. He's got to speed up. And Jared Goff, his credit, last year with Ben Johnson did better at seeing defensive changes. But the simple fact of the matter is that unless they're playing pistol or shotgun every single snap, he's not going to see everything. And he still does not process everything. He still does not get out of the pocket well. If you can find a way to get quick pressure, he's going to do something dumb. Turn the ball over. He's going to get sacked. He's going to fumble. Something's going to happen. That's what this is. You make him guess every down that maybe this guy's coming. Maybe you have like 5 guys on the second level, 3 or 2 linebackers, and just 5 guys standing there, and any of them could be coming. All right, just you guess, Jared.
Yes, go, folks. We're going to speed up a little bit because we have a ton of super chats to get to.
Oh yeah,
I want to make sure that we get to them all. So here we go. Lego, if KT19 has a few big opening games, will solidify his number 1 spot for years to come. And if that happens, what's the contract numbers? A few good games isn't enough. He's got to survive a season. He's got to be their leading receiver at the end of a year, in my opinion.
Absolutely. He needs to play.
Okay. Brent, does the CJ situation a lesson from the Chiefs to start drafting players to replace Kelsey once he starts declining because they don't have a replacement? That's true. And that's why we do keep bringing up the tight end classes. This last one was pretty good, pretty diversified. This next one might be a little bit thinner, but could still have some great athletes in it. It is time to start doing that. And I do believe they have that. Let's see. What's the odds are unchanged. So Lions game odds are also unchanged with this situation. Does that surprise you?
A little bit. I would think that it would just kind of teeter just a bit because Chris Jones is, for our money, the best defensive player in football right now. Like I mean,
yeah,
I think it would change a little bit, but I guess not. All right.
Hey, Vegas seems to know things. I don't know. Thanks, Alan. KT, thank you. Welcome to the memberships. Appreciate you. Lions are Lions. Chiefs by 20. I like the way that you're thinking.
Love it.
Let's hope that that's exactly how it goes down. 3 sacks from Derek Nottie and we're home. I'm telling you. Okay. Falling from grace. What are your bold predictions for the first half of the season, Dan?
Bold predictions for the first half is that FAU leads this team in sacks.
Oh.
But he doesn't finish the season as the leader.
Okay. My bold prediction is that first half of the season, meaning 8 ball games. I'm calling it 8 instead of 9 because I hate doing the 17 math. I'm just saying. I'm going to say that Sky Moore has the most receiving touchdowns on this roster outside of Travis Kelsey. So wide receiver touchdown.
Love it.
I think that's the way it's going to fall. I want KC to make a smart move and maximize Pat's window a la the Patriots. At what point does it backfire with locker room chemistry, etc.? To the point that you make exceptions to the kind of guy you want in the room. Yeah. And right now, I don't feel like they're doing that. Do you?
No, I agree with you. It doesn't. It really just comes down to like how you think this impacts everybody else. Like if you don't think it's going to impact everybody else, if you don't think it's going to have a negative impact on how they play when he comes back, I think they'll be fine.
Fair enough. Thank you, Adam. Ray, good question. Who do you think is the first sack of the season on Thursday, Dan?
Kendrick Coburn. Let's go.
Yeah?
Let's go all in. Kendrick, baby.
even the odds on George Karlaftis or L'Jarius Sneed. I'm just putting it that way.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
Jason, I appreciate you. Thank you for your patience,
Jason.
buddy. They've been in here a while. Over under. PH gets 5,500 yards. I think he means PM and 50 touchdowns for this season. Where do you have it right now?
I have it slightly under on the yards and touchdowns. Like, I think he's going to get 5,400 yards. I believe that with my whole heart. And I think he's going to get like 45 touchdowns. I don't have it with a 50 just yet, but I mean, 5,445 is nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts. I'm going to take the under on yardage and the over on touchdowns.
All right. I like that. That's fair. If he hits over 50, that's something else.
It's money. We're on the way. Jason, thank you for your patience. I hope we got your follow-up question for this next one. Appreciate you very much, pal. Kirk, hope you're doing well, man. Where the Chiefs offense take advantage of the Lions defense right now? Where do you like it the best?
Those linebackers, man. I know everyone's excited for their rookie Jack Campbell. He's a rookie. All right. Alex Anzalone is not a good linebacker. Like, he's fine. And, you know, everyone's feel-good story last year, Malcolm Rodriguez is a backup player at this point. They can absolutely take advantage of those linebackers. Play action them to death. Get a couple 7-8 yard chunks with Pacheco, and guess what?
See ya.
Middle of the field. Travis Kelce,
Bye-bye.
Bender. Sky Moore, Bender. It's coming at you. All right? I'm telling you.
Agreed. And when you say Bender, you're talking about those nice over routes. That's
not
just
routes.
one player, but pull in the safeties and attack everyone.
Absolutely.
Yes,
from those, especially from like the reduced split area where you force guys to have to come in because you're close to the line of scrimmage, and then you just, oh, by the way, bye. Just pull away from everybody because they're playing outside leverage. So yeah.
I look for pivot routes, shallow drags that then lead to the overs. I agree with you completely. If you can stress the safeties because they have to cover down for the linebackers, then you got over the top, and it can go right to where Pat wants to go. Thank you, Kurt. Kurt is one of our members, as is Boats and Hose. Welcome to the memberships, buddy. Whoever gave you that, I don't even want to know what that is, but hey, whoever gifted it to you, you guys are awesome. I have a few culprits that I'm guessing, but hey, cheers and welcome. Nighthawk, thank you for the super sticker. Cheers to you, buddy. Metal, you're back. Nice to see you. Great to see you guys again. Is there any hope that CJ can be back before week 8? Absolutely. I also heard Chris is willing to split the difference of the money and go 28 million. Thoughts? I think everything that we've heard for the most part that has come from the major outlets, including NBC Sports, specifically Mike Florio, is bull. I'm just going to tell you that. Last I heard was Saturday from somebody that is not in the negotiation, but knows somebody that is. So it's 2 or 3 times removed. But they were still talking numbers that started with 3.
I think what we've seen is that Chris wants 3. He wants 30. I think I'm pretty comfortably confident he wants 30. I think the team has hit him. I think that what we saw from Nick Wright today about it being 27.5 is what they've offered. And I think that they're still, like you said, 3-point-ish, 8 million off from their negotiations. After this game, I think you might see, all right, we got to meet in the middle from Chris Jones's team.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that as well. Because in the end, unless there's a glaring need, like they can't push that hard. It is what it is. Thanks, Metal. Welcome back. Zeus, nice to see you. What do you guys think that Chris Jones and Travis Kelce's direct TV commercial? Kelce trolling the fans. I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Oh man,
no.
It's been out for a while now.
Dang. I'm not paying enough attention. I've been busy. Based on what Dan said about no team trading a top 10 pick for Chris, I want to ask, if Aaron Donald didn't get hurt in 2022, would a team be willing to trade a top 10 for him? What do you think?
I don't know if you'd be willing to pay to trade a top 10. I think maybe you might get away with top 15. But again, he's also a $31 million player. They have to take that into consideration. But he's also one of the greatest defensive players to ever live, which, you know, it kind of negates a little bit of the bias with that. So.
There is some of that, but
thank you.
I will say, too, the age factor is there. Mr. Mayor, nice to see you. Thank you for being with us again. I really enjoy the fact that we get a really, really great group of folks in here. So give yourselves a pat on the back and say hello to all your friends and neighbors, because Chiefs Kingdom grows right here on this channel. We very much appreciate all of you. So cheers, and I hope that you guys are having a good Sunday night. I want to give Jason another shout out. This is the same question he asked before. I haven't seen a follow-up. So Jason, if you had to log off, my apologies that it took this long to get to your question. But very much appreciate the support, pal. And I will hook you up next time. Just let us know when you're back in. It's nice to see you. Can you break down how we expect to get pressure? Thank you, Des. Great question, and thanks for the support again. So I'll cover this while Dan's doing dad duties. It's a replacement concept, right? You might see George Karlaftis. You might see even you've seen Derek Nottie do it. You've certainly seen Coburn and Danny Shelton do it in the preseason, where they actually drop out. And that's because a linebacker or safety is taking their place in the rush lane that they were occupying. I do expect to see some of that. I'm hopeful that it's with Mike Dana or George Karlaftis or FAU or someone that's a little bit more nimble than the defensive tackles. But that's just me. I do think part of that was an experimentation on Steve Spagnuolo's part to see who he could do that with. Nottie is not fleet of foot. We all know that, but he has done it before. And Coburn is dramatically more athletic than him. He's not quite the athlete Colin Saunders is, but you could see a blitz for a tackle replacement, but more likely it's going to be the edges. So especially if you get somebody light out there, if BJ Thompson plays, BJ Thompson can drop rather effectively. He can turn his hips. He has a lot of mobility there, and I do like to see that. So you're dialing things up. Now, the question really comes is when you're sending a fifth rusher and you're not replacing anymore, you're adding on top of it. And we all know that Steve likes to come off the edge with a nickel or a safety in a nickel position, right? I do think we're going to see some of that. But I also think the volume that we saw of linebacker blitzes, in particular the A-gaps in this preseason, I think that's a hint that we're going to see more of a mixture where we might see 4 or 5 different blitzers in this ball game so that he can find where he can get the pressure from. And I do think it'll be kind of an experimentation until he finds that, and then he's going to hit the nail on the head every time until he hammers it home. That's my thought.
It makes sense. They have to figure out what works best.
Yeah, no way around it. Thank you, Des. Jackson, how much leverage do you think Jones has if we get 2 or 3 sacks this week? Less, but it's also his side will simply say, show me that you can do that over and over again without Chris, and that's a legitimate argument. So I don't think this ball game hinges leverage very much either way. Maybe a touch, but I don't think it's huge. Do you?
No, I just think that it's proof that proof of concept. We can do it. Guess what? That's what this is. It's proof of concept. We believe, because we're steadfast. The Chiefs. This is I'm saying the Chiefs are steadfast in their opinion that they don't want to pay you as much as the agents are offering, that we can get by when you're not there. And if they can do that, it's proof of concept that should, in my opinion, get them to meet in the middle.
Just get it done. It's pretty simple.
Please.
Oh, Teddy, thank you, buddy. Nice to see you back. Can't give CJ 64 over 24 and 25 because of Creed, Trey, and Bolton extensions. Wouldn't kick in until 25. Same year as they would when the deals expire. Also, same year for us to have outs for Trav and Tooney and Taylor. Yes. I don't think you're going to use any of those, honestly. I actually expect Tooney to probably get extended. Unless we see a drastic fall off in his performance this year, I think they're going to tack 2 more seasons onto it. Get some cap savings that way. You don't look like you agree with me.
So no, I agree with you. I'm just like, here's something happening in my daughter's room. I can't quite place the noise that's happening right now, but I think we're okay. But yes, I agree. They're going to extend him because they're not seeing any slowdown, and he's playing great still.
If you need to go check, go check.
It's like Velcro. I'm not entirely sure where it's coming from.
But Teddy, you have a good point. Like, it's not just the numbers, it's the structure as well. Because to be effective, in order to do anything else, like extend Willie or Bolton or get ready for Creed or Trey or Sneed, you have to have that room, but you also have to be able to adapt and absorb some attrition this season as well. Carlos Dunlap is still out there, and I do think he is a viable option down the line to try to get that late season push that they've liked to get these last few years. So there are a lot of things under there, and it's going to be taking that 19 or whatever the cap number is in base salary and moving it out later as well. So it's not just the numbers, it's the structure of the numbers that I think will actually save them and allow some of those other things to happen.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, buddy. and all the support you've given over the years. Appreciate you. Dunlap, sorry. Jesus, you nailed it, and I didn't even read this ahead of time. Does he sign week 2? Veteran contracts are not guaranteed. You're absolutely right. As soon as week 1's over, week 2 starts hey, if you get hurt, you get hurt. That's the way it goes. And if Chris is done, I do think that is a viable option.
Right now, I don't feel like
it's going to happen.
I also think that they are really weirdly comfortable with their guys.
Right.
BJ Thompson made the roster, and I mean, I'm not trying to like disrespect anybody here because that's not my aim. But BJ Thompson made a roster, which I didn't think he should have made the roster. I'm not entirely sure what the play is here, but honestly, if they're going to use him as like a stand-up rusher, hey, bring it on, man. Just see what they got.
It's all upside, brother. It's
all
upside. That first step, I tell you, like I didn't think he was going to make it either, but I know why he's there because they saw something they feel they can manufacture over and over again. But yes, Dunlap should be on your radar.
Like maybe Dunlap with more speed, like previous Dunlap. Like that's what BJ Thompson, I guess, could actually be, right? Like the upside of BJ Thompson could legitimately be a little bit like.
Absolutely. And he's so raw. All you got to do is mold him is what they see there because the athleticism's there. Not to mention, if they do go to a 3-4, like my tinfoil says, he can drop and play outside linebacker and coverage as well. Dennis, thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Nick on First Take is 2 years on both Chiefs offer and a little over 27 guaranteed, right? That's similar to a number that I've been. I didn't hear the 2 years. I thought they were still open to 3, but that could have changed. Chris wants 32 and a $9 million difference. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, and that's kind of silly. That's more than Aaron Donald. And he started the season saying, I don't need to be more than Aaron Donald. That's the problem.
Fun fact. If Chris Jones sits out to week 8, he'll forfeit about $9 million in guarantee earning his money. So guess what? What's the difference here?
And here's the kicker on top of that. You guys go check out Chris Clark's Substack. It's Chiefs Corner. A good shout out for Chris. He does a good job with this stuff. If that happens, it lowers his contractual obligations this year. So his 120% for his tag next year comes down by about $10 million bucks too.
Yeah. And it makes it easy to keep control over his contract. It doesn't. This situation, I don't want to just show off the rails here, but like it makes no sense. I don't think Chris Jones has anything to do with what's going on. I think the Katz brothers are just kind of making this happen. This doesn't make any sense. Chris Jones has some sense, but right now what's happening makes no sense at all.
No, it is not the best look for him. Whoa. Okay. Mr. Green Beans, appreciate you. Nice to see you again. Y'all can't be mad over a down year. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Hey. But it's not mad. It's just frustration that it's internal conflict that has caused that. You know what I mean? If that were to happen. Yeah. And it's honestly lost of a year of Mahomes. In the end, I think we're going to be at the end of Mahomes' career going, if they had gotten that one, or if they'd beat the Bucks, you know, like it could come down to that, like historically where he lives in eternity could come down to one of these like stray seasons. Just my thought.
You're trying to be honestly, Patrick Mahomes trying to be the GOAT.
Yeah.
And when you're trying to go toe-to-toe with Tom Brady in terms of 7 rings, you can't be wasting some of these years, especially this is going to be entering his, think about it, his prime. This is literally entering his prime, and he's already won 2 Super Bowls. Just
the best part. That. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. Good to see you back. Teddy, thank you again. Also, I assume the Gase need we're going to walk. I think at least one of them is. I think they have to make a determination, and I think this season is still. They'd have had, I think, L'Jarius done if they knew they had to have him over Willie. I think it's back and forth.
I think right now I'm going to be a little, the downer here. I think both are gone.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of people do. I'm trying to remain optimistic because I like both those guys. I think L'Jarius has probably priced himself out, whereas I think Willie probably hasn't performed enough.
I agree.
Des, thank you again. If CJ reports, what do we do about cap space then? You're going to see some cuts. There's no way around it because his money will go straight back on just because he walked in the door.
Yep. They got to do it.
I don't know who. I really, it's going to be piecemeal because right now they're $8 million over. That's not just one guy. You know, you can't just part ways with a player.
He's not reporting unless they have a contract. I'm telling you right now, he's not stepping on that field. He's not stepping into that building unless the Chiefs aren't going to let him. They're not going to let him unless he has a contract. They're, like you said, they're $8 million over. They don't have a choice. They can't just haul off and cut $8 million worth of stuff. They have to have his contract done before he can step into the building.
Agreed. Hey guys, do you think that if Justin Ross can stay healthy, he could hit 800 yards this season? It would take an injury ahead of him to do that. I don't think he's going to get that many opportunities to hit 800 yards. Do you, Dan? Am I underestimating him again?
I hope we're underestimating him. If Justin Ross catches 800 yards worth of passes this year, guess what, guys? He is your starting X receiver next year. Period. Bye-bye MVS. He is your starting X. If he can not just overcome the injury, make the roster, but say, hey, guess what? I'm going to essentially be your second or leading receiver this year. 800 yards could lead this receiving room. It could. Make no mistake. If he does that.
For me, my threshold is 500 yards. If Justin Ross can stay healthy enough and get enough targets to earn 500 yards in this offense this season, I think that's walking papers for MVS, or at least that's where the conversation starts inside the building.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gary, thank you very much. Everybody give Gary a hand, one of our mods here. Appreciate you, buddy. Do you see Nick Bolden get a sack and a fumble recovery Thursday?
I don't.
I'm going to go yes, just since you brought it up, Gary.
Sure, go for it.
You got 2 for that one. Awesome. Thank you, Gary. Great idea. John, thank you for the support, pal. If George jumps to 10 sacks and FAU gets 6 and Spags blitzes, we would be okay. I agree with you, John. If you can get to that level, you have to have the rest of the team contribute because that's still only 16 on a team that got, 53 last year?
55.
There's a lot of other contributors there. But if those 2 guys in particular, the young dudes, and you get a Menahue back, and you get Dana maybe with a small tick, and eventually Chris comes back, I think you could get that done.
I'm with
you. Quentin, thank you, sir. 22 months in the memberships. Appreciate you.
Let's go.
As Chris's holdouts continues, who do we blame? Agent or Jones? I'm starting to blame Jones. Where are you at, Dan?
You guys heard me. I fully believe it's the agents. I believe that a lot of times in our lives, we all get bad advice. And we have now seen players make bank, Laramie Tunsil and Lamar Jackson, to name a few. There are far more that have done it, by the way, without agents. I don't believe that Chris Jones needed the Katz brothers to get this contract done. And I'd be willing to bet if he didn't have them as agents, it'd already be done. So I believe it's the agents.
I will not argue with you whatsoever. Donnie, nice to see you, and thank you, sir. Do the Jets seem fearsome? Because the O-line is and that's what it comes down to. And honestly, Aaron didn't scare us last year either, did he?
No. Aaron, honestly, there's a lot of eggs in the Aaron Rodgers only had a down year once. Like last year was just it was just a fluke. But that cliff comes fast. Aaron Rodgers is going to make some plays. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers. Every once in a while, he's going to just do something that you're like, yeah, that's that guy. He's 40.
Honestly,
40 years old.
The guy that should be scared the most, should have the most fear, is Garrett Wilson. Because he thinks he's got old Aaron Rodgers right now. If he doesn't, Garrett's going to be frustrated real fast.
You can say that. He caught, 1,300 yards with Zach Wilson and Mike White throwing him the football last year. He's still getting there with Aaron Rodgers doing it.
But the difference is Aaron will tank, and they won't go to Zach Wilson. Like, they kept continually trying to get quarterbacks who were trying to win, right? If Aaron tanks and cannot play well, they won't go away from him. So I actually feel like
he'll still get the targets.
I don't know. I don't know if he'll be able to get the ball out. I have serious doubts about what's going to happen in New York this year. Thoughts on the Katz brothers. This is from Stevie, one of our guys. Everybody say hi to Stevie. Reportedly using the Aaron Donald contract replacement model of Aaron Donald and Aaron Rodgers versus the traditional way of extensions. I think they're grasping at straws because they think it's a higher payday. I don't think they understand how it actually works and how you actually prove replacement value. And so I think that's part of the problem is that their expectations, the agents, not Chris's, their expectations are just out of whack because of this. And honestly, a couple other factors as well, where I think just from their business standpoint, they feel they need to get the biggest payday they can, let alone for Chris.
Yeah. And I think he's also still trying to change the defensive tackle market. Like, there's a reason that there was such a big gap between the second highest paid defensive tackle this offseason and Aaron Donald. And as much as I think Chris wants this to be done, I mean, I don't know. I'm not in his head. I don't know him personally. I would imagine he'd like to play football this year and win another Super Bowl. But I also think that he knows that change doesn't come easy. So he may not agree with what's going on from his agents, but he also knows that in order to affect change at a higher level for defensive tackles, specifically pass rushing defensive tackles, you have to fight for that. So I believe that's his mindset with all of this. He's kind of putting it out of sight, out of mind to try to get something done that's bigger than just himself. Maybe that's me trying to be try to look on the bright side of things. Maybe that is. Maybe I'm just completely wrong. But I believe
that's okay. There's always a shred of that in there as well. So I like where you're coming from. And shout out, hi, Miss Holly and Tracy. Appreciate you guys. I think Brenda was in here earlier before. Rami, thank you for your support. Appreciate you. Love the show and love that you're here for it. Thank you.
Thanks,
do you agree
Rami.
with Nick Wright at 20-0? Are you in on Nick's prediction?
No.
I want to be.
I would love to be. You guys have seen the AFC, right? You've seen it. Like, this is no joke. This AFC is loaded. It's absolutely loaded. And they play the AFC East this year. And the AFC East might be the best division in football. I think the AFC North rivals it. There's a lot of really good quarterbacks and really good football teams in the AFC. And no, they're not going undefeated, guys.
I like I said, I would love to see it, but no.
Would love it, but no.
I can't predict that. No, not with a clear conscience anyway. Thank you, though. Appreciate you, Rainey. Knicks fan, hope you're doing well. I don't like that the fans are disrespect Jones. He's still one of the best. We need him. We need him to play. Need to pay him. From what I've seen, they're offering 3 at 74 with 70 guaranteed, and that's a good point that you bring up, Knicks fan. They're offering basically 95% of the contract guaranteed in all the new money. That is almost unheard of. Only Kirk Cousins has a better deal than that. So, like, I think you bring up a good point that we haven't talked about enough. Is in offering that volume of guaranteed money, that ought to say something.
Honestly, I believe if that were true, that contract would be done. You're going to tell someone you are getting $70 million guaranteed on signing. It doesn't matter if you get hurt tomorrow. I'm sorry, that contract's done, in my opinion. But I obviously don't know anything about it. I could be very, very wrong. And that's prefaced with just about everything that I say with this contract stuff, because I'm not behind the doors. We don't know anything. We don't actually know if the numbers that are being reported are factual. We don't. But if we believe that it would be done.
Yeah. Oh, I would hope so. Thank you, Knicks man. Nice to see you, folks. We're going to wrap up here with the last couple super chats. I can see us blowing the first game if we have a shaky D, too many wasted snaps from CH. Do you share my concerns? I mean, yeah, nothing's for certain, and it is a little bit more topsy-turvy than normal. Let's see. Kevin, first loss of yardage of the year. No doubt, CH. Do you agree?
No, but I mean, no offense, Kevin, but I'm not surprised to see your take on that.
Oh,
You've
no,
been very outspoken about Clyde
CH,
right? That's all good, man. I get it.
John, did the Chiefs start looking for a new left guard soon? They should always be looking, and I do think they generally do, but I really do think that they're going to extend Tooney unless we see something drastically different. If he plays at the same level he played last year, they're giving him another couple of years. Nighthawk, thank you. Appreciate you as always. Thanks, bud. And this question from you: is it possible that Ross could be brought into the red zone scores the opposite of Tony and Moore? Can see them gashing teams with their elusiveness and the jump ball ability. I would love to see that. That fade that they showed in the preseason, that's what he's built for. But I've been saying that since Chris Conley. So Dan, do you think they'll do it?
I don't believe it. You guys, I'm at the point now where I won't believe it until I see it. And it wasn't even Mahomes that threw that ball. It wasn't. I won't believe it until I see it. So just make me wrong, Andy. Please.
Oh, Tracy, I remember Chris wanted Defensive Player of the Year. He said that. If he misses all these games, he would be giving this up. Yes? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If he doesn't play at least, in my opinion, 14 games, there's no way that he can achieve that.
Absolutely not. He's going to have 2 sacks, have to average 2 sacks a game. Like, he just has to average that if he waits too long. So he's putting that at risk for himself. And personal goals are one thing. And I guess if you weigh that out with trying to actually affect change, again, if that's what he's trying to do, that's your decision. And I get it.
Yeah, agreed. There's just no way around that. Expectations for Tony in the first 3 weeks. Hopefully 3 starts. And I'd hope 150 yards and 2 scores.
Man, I feel like he's going to play 30% of the snaps over the first 3 weeks and get targeted like 15 times.
Yeah.
Just have, I mean, that's just 5 targets a game. Like that's just they're going to get the ball to him in some way, shape, or form, especially if they believe that he looks comfortable. And that's what this comes down to, is if you can save him while also using his splash play ability, that's doing 2 things at once. And it's great usage.
Yeah, agreed. We're going to wrap it up with Marshall, folks. Make sure you like, sub, and hit this bell if you are not part of us, all 700 of you tonight on a Monday.
Love you guys.
We're looking forward to Thursday night. We're going to have live game reaction. We're going to have film. We're going to have stats. We're going to have everything, including Seth tomorrow before that game. So make sure you are a member of the channel. Marshall asks, if Tony remains healthy, is he established as number 1 by the end of the season, or will he maintain the committee approach throughout the entire year? If he's healthy, he should be the primary target on at least, 30% of the route combinations?
Yeah.
Is that a number 1
I
to
would
you?
imagine. Yeah, I think that makes sense. He's going to be a first read guy, like, if he's healthy. I fully believe that.
Yeah. So, Marshall, we both believe if he can stay healthy, he will be the number 1 target. He is the wide receiver 1. Let's just hope that he can.
My thing is, like, if you have Travis Kelce and Kadarius Toney that are both healthy on the field and they're like your go-to first read play guys, that puts so much stress on the defense. It just does. Yeah. Travis Kelce gets open, and Kadarius just gets open. Like he doesn't. He's not the best route runner, but he moves differently. You watch it. You guys go back and see the different film reviews that we did last year when he came over. He moves differently. And you don't even need him to be open, because they were throwing jump balls to him too down the field. He damn near caught one in the AFC Championship game that he damn near came down with. The dude's different athlete, and it puts so much stress on the defense that it frees everybody else up. And again, we're going to do the same thing that Ryan always does. We're knocking on wood, because hopefully he stays healthy this season.
Hopefully you can't hear the echo off of my skull, but hey, that's going to wrap it for us tonight. We're going to wrap it up. Go do dad stuff. You guys have a great night. It's going to be a fun week. It's a short week. So be with us. We'll have content for you every single day, and we'll be live post game. I'm ready for it. I hope that you are. Dan, have a great day and enjoy the evening.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, guys. Don't forget the live Wednesday night live, because we're going to have the game plan for you guys on Wednesday too. So we got lots of content this week.
It's all over the place. Thank you for being here tonight. Have a great Tuesday. Welcome back to the week, and we'll see you soon.